Hello and welcome. What's the secret to getting rich? Well, there are plenty of suggestions, spawning a huge global industry in books, lectures, and even board games. The conventional approach to financial independence says we should study hard at school, get the best possible job, work hard to pay bills, and save as much as possible for retirement. Our guest today says the system is flawed and keeps the wealthy rich while others struggle along that conventional path. Robert Kiyosaki is an American entrepreneur who shot to fame more than a decade ago after self-publishing his first book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which attempts to teach people how to make money work for them as opposed to working for money. Well, today, the Rich Dad series has sold more than 26 million copies in 38 different languages. In his latest book, Conspiracy of the Rich, The 8 New Rules of Money, Robert Kiyosaki argues that our school system is a relic of the industrial age, geared to producing employees with almost no financial literacy. He says when it comes to basics like balance sheets, profits, losses, assets and liabilities, we are woefully ignorant and so not truly in control of our financial destiny. Robert Kiyosaki joins us today from Phoenix, Arizona. And so today we ask, is there a conspiracy of the rich to keep us financially ignorant? Remember, you can join our conversation with your questions and comments. And you can send an SMS or email, and we welcome your phone calls on the show. Robert Kiyosaki, great to have you on the program.
Oh, thank you. It's my honor.
Good to start off with, I guess, for our viewers who are not familiar with the concept, what is the basic idea behind Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Well, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a true story. I'm fourth generation Japanese American, born in Hawaii. And my real dad was my poor dad. He was the head of education for the state of Hawaii, a PhD, great guy. But as you know, most school teachers don't know much about money. So my dad, my poor dad, died a poor man. And my rich dad was my best friend's father, and he was a man with virtually no education, but he ultimately became one of the richest men in the state of Hawaii. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a very simple, and that's why it sold so many, a very simple story about what two fathers teach their two sons, my best friend and I, about the subject of money. And as you know, we don't teach much about money at school, so that's why we learn about money at home. And that's what Rich Dad, Poor Dad's about.
It's interesting, as you talk about gaining financial literacy, and if that's such an important skill, why is it something that isn't taught in schools? Why don't kids get an early start in it?
I asked myself that question since I was a kid, since I was about 9 years old when I started studying with my rich dad. And my rich dad just started teaching me playing Monopoly. He played Monopoly over and over again. And he said the formula for great wealth is found on that board game. It's 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. And I said, is that all there is? I'm 9 years old. He goes, yeah, that's it. And so that's all I do today. I primarily play Monopoly as an adult. But I think if people really knew how much going to school, getting a job, and how much you'll pay in taxes and how you'll never become rich, I think people would leave school. So I think the main reason they don't tell people the truth about money and why the rich are getting richer and the tax laws and banking laws is because most people would just leave school. So this is a waste of time. Well, so I think that's the reason.
Yeah, I wonder if, if there are those who say that, children can only absorb so much, or that, children should be left to be children. I wonder, do you see a starting point? At what age children should start getting these kinds of skills?
That's a great question, because at what age is a child interested in money? And I know kids who are like 5 years old, they know the difference between a $1 bill and a $20 bill. And so I think kids are naturally interested in money. And it doesn't have to be that serious. Like I said, I just started playing Monopoly, and I still play Monopoly today. I mean, it's that simple.
Well, it's interesting, we talked about the education system just now. We had a viewer that sent in an email stating the following. It's from Syed Arshid, who wrote in saying, education is a kind of investment, like real estate. Now, I know that a number of educators and thought leaders believe the education system is flawed, and you also explained how you think a lot of people, if they knew what was going on with schools, would leave. What would you change in the schooling system? How do you see it as flawed? What would you change?
Well, there's a number of things. Financial education begins with literacy. Do you understand the vocabulary of money? And do you know the difference between cash flow and capital gains? That's one. Do you understand the tax laws? When you say to a child, go to school or get a job or become a doctor, those people pay the highest percentage taxes at least in the United States. Where a person like me, I can make millions of dollars as an entrepreneur and an investor and pay 0 tax legally. So if you understood taxes and all that, plus how the investment world works, you might make other decisions about a life's course. What profession would you take up?
I'm going to put a couple of emails to you because a couple of viewers expressed their views. The first one is from Khalfan Al-Aremi, who wrote in saying, for some people, education and a good job are the best ways to get rich. And another, who wrote in from Nigeria, Kunle Lawal, wrote in saying, graduates are being groomed to work for multinational corporations as the height of their careers, instead of owning one. Now I wonder, in your opinion, is it possible to get rich working for someone else?
Oh, yes, it is. I'm not against education. There's three basic types of education. There's academic, which is reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's very important. The second is professional. You know, become a doctor or a lawyer. In my case, I became a ship's officer and an airline, I'm a pilot. But there's no financial education. And the reason when I got out of the military, I flew for the Marine Corps, the reason I didn't go on to become an airline pilot like my peers did was simply because I'd still been an employee. And the airline industry is in trouble today, so a lot of my peers lost their jobs anyway. But the tax laws really punish A students. It punishes them. Like I'll say it again, doctors and lawyers in America pay the highest percentage of taxes, where a guy like me who was a C student, you know, I can make millions.